Hey lady friends, welcome to Become a Podcast Queen. Are you a coach, a consultant, a network marketer, a thought leader, an entrepreneur, a keynote or public speaker, or a creative type? Perhaps you're a hobby podcaster or have a podcast of your own for your business. If so, then you're in the right place. This is a podcast for the heart-centered and bold, badass woman who wants to find, use, and amplify her own unique voice to become an absolute powerhouse in her own podcast. If you're ready to pour your passion and purpose into your very own podcast and have a positive impact and influence in the world while making an income at the same time, then please join me in these empowering conversations. Learn all of my secrets around getting your podcast up and off the ground, speaking your dreams into existence, marketing and promoting your podcast, elevating your brand awareness, growing your downloads and listenership while attracting paying clients and paying customers through the power of podcasting. My name is Olivia Powell, your hostess with the mostest. I'm an international podcast and business coach and a mentor to female entrepreneurs. Tune in each episode for tons of helpful insights, actionable steps to implement straight into your own podcast so that you can put your best work out there into the world. I am here to help you harness the power of podcasting to guide and inspire you to elegantly strap on those lady balls, grab the mic and press record. Are you ready to birth and build your podcast while becoming a queen at podcasting at the same time? We don't wait until we're ready. We unapologetically crown and anoint ourselves to deliver our message. Are you with me? Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to another awesome episode, if I don't say so myself. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about how podcasting or your podcast or your future podcast is an extension of you, yourself, as in like me, myself, and I, but we're making this about you, okay? So I want you to think of it like this, right? Well, actually, no, before I get into it, what I want to talk about is the fact that I've been receiving so many Facebook friend requests lately. It's a little bit cray-cray. I'm getting like 30 or 50 a day. So I'm definitely going to be reaching that 5,000 friend limit thing that Facebook has at an alarming rate. And the thing is, most of these people I don't know from a bar of soap, right? But I believe that they're friending me because, you know, as a means of networking, or they're curious about podcasting because, let's face it, my Facebook profile is very much like, you know, it's heavily marketed towards podcasting as well as a bit of like personal life stuff. But people that, you know, friend request me, they know what I'm about, right? Because my stuff's very obvious. My bio is obvious, my photos are obvious, my graphics, all that sort of stuff, right? I basically use my Facebook page as a marketing tool. And there's one thing that I've really noticed from all of these friend requests, and the main thing is their bio and what they represent, who they are, what they stand for. And I noticed one major thing. Either that person that friends me has got like, you know, a very clear bio of who they are and what they do and what they're all about, or there's someone that you really don't know anything about at all. You know, the photo's not even a photo of their face. They've got no information on who they are. And you're like, who is this person that is friend requesting me? You know, like I got no idea what they're about. And the people that I do know what they're about, I know very quickly whether they're for me or whether they're not for me. Yeah. I know very quickly about whether they have a business or they don't have a business, or what their passion and purpose is or what their passion and purpose isn't, you know, like if you've got a cover photo of a flower, I don't know, I can't make much from that, you know. But the profiles and the Facebook friend requests that I can tell are aligned with me and who I am and what I'm about, because obviously I used to be a business coach and now I'm a podcast coach, so I help people, you know, start and launch their own podcasts and also grow their audiences and market them and all that jazz. You know, I have a lot of people that do a lot of different things that have friend requested me, right? So people that are like yoga retreat teachers or instructors, authors, neuro-linguistic programming practitioners, NLP for those of you that don't know, hairdressers, clothing stylists, sex and intimacy coach and therapists, like Reiki practitioners and alternative medicine and spiritual guides and stuff, like tarot card readers, actresses, like remedial therapists, what else? E-commerce store people, MLMs, definitely business coaches and digital marketers and lead generators and a lot of virtual assistants actually, and social media managers and all this. And the reason why I wanted to kind of address this today is that all of those people that I've just mentioned, or all those people that have those types of businesses, or even businesses that I haven't mentioned, podcasting can still fit into your business. A podcast is purely just an extra leg of your business. It's purely just another marketing tool for your business, right? So The way I explain it is all of the content that you share everywhere on the internet, whether it be a Facebook post or an Instagram thing or a LinkedIn profile or, whatever content you're already sharing face-to-face or online, you can do that in an audio platform, which is where podcasting comes in. That's all. It's not hard. It's not overcomplicated, right? Whenever you write a post about something or a topic or a theme in mind, you can do a podcast episode on that exact thing. You get to go into more depth. You get to take it as deep as you want to take it or explore that topic as much as you want to. Like a post on Facebook or Instagram, for example, and I use these two so commonly because that's where I hang out. You've got a limit of how much you can write to some degree. Not so much on Facebook, but definitely on Instagram. So if you're wanting to explore different subjects and things for your audience, but you can't really do that in writing, audio platforms are great. Excuse me while I interrupt this conversation for a minute. Did you know that when you want to create your own podcast, it needs a virtual home online before your podcast is available to other platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Google Play Music, and other online destinations? Well, if not, that's okay, girlfriend. You're not the only one. So many women who want to start a podcast just don't know where the heck to have their podcast hosted. When I was researching this, I reached out to a whole bunch of other podcast hosts that I listened to and loved and admired and asked what their thoughts were, and every single one came back to me and recommended Libsyn. Libsyn spelt Libsyn. Word of mouth is so incredibly powerful. So what do I use now? I use Libsyn and I've never looked back. It was a no-brainer and easy decision to choose Libsyn as the podcasting hosting platform for my own podcast. So I've decided to partner with this professional and amazing company, and I'm gifting this to you to take the overwhelm away for you. So if you sign up with Libsyn, you can get 1 to 2 months absolutely free by using the special code word Olivia to gain this discount. But make sure you sign up with the $20 monthly account so that you get access to the analytics feature, which means you get to see your podcast grow in front of your very own eyeballs. You will have access to see how many downloads per day, per week, per month, and per year. The other thing is, be sure to sign up after the 3rd of the month so you definitely get that month for free. This is why I started my own podcast on the 3rd of December. So as a recap, Libsyn is spelled Libsyn. Link is in the show notes, and you are welcome. So for example, I'm going to kind of pull it all together for you so you can see what I mean. So if you're an author or an authoress, I like to say, you can talk about on your podcast, not just your book, but books in general, So what made you want to write a book? People want to hear your story about how you got to writing a book. How did you write the book as well? How did you write it? Chapter by chapter with a theme in mind? Did you have an outline? Did you wing it? How did that work for you? And also, did you go down the self-publishing route or the traditional publishing route? How do you do that? People want to know how to self-publish these days. What's the difference between those two? What's better in your opinion? And why is it good to have your own book? Does it give you more credibility? Is it more for the fact that you wanted to write a biography on your life or something? Does it help your business or your niche? And I've seen some podcasters really use being an author in quite a creative way. They might read a chapter or the intro of their book per episode, or a page from their book in each episode, or they might pull quotes that they've written from their book and share that in a podcast episode. There's just so much that you can do. And a podcaster that I listen to, she's not all about publishing, but she is an author and she has self-published, and I've gotten so much value out of listening to her journey around self-publishing. It's been a fascinating topic to me. My dad's self-published before. I know that there's lots of different businesses that can help you self-publish. And this particular podcaster compared, she ended up getting a traditional book deal, which is really cool. And she talked about her story of how she got, rejected from 19 or 20 different book publishing places, which I thought was epic. The fact that she kept persisting and eventually got there. And it was really fascinating. So yeah, if you're an author, you can easily create a podcast all around that experience. And I want to kind of compare this to some other businesses as well. So for example, if you are a sex and intimacy therapist or, coach or whatever, you can talk about what exactly is intimacy. Some people think they know what it is, but, some people don't, right? So you can talk about what that actually is, what it looks like, how it plays out as a single person or as a person in a relationship or a marriage. You can talk about what is, sorry to get a little bit graphic here, but what exactly is sex? There's different types of sex that people can be having. How does it fit in holistically with our emotional well-being, our physical well-being, our spiritual well-being? Like, how does it work across those different planes? What kind of issues are people having in the bedroom and between the sheets? What are they struggling with? What do people come to you with as a sex therapist or a sex intimacy coach or whatever you want to call yourself, right? There's so many topics and things to explore there. You don't just have to talk about your own personal work. You can talk about the area, and maybe the niche that you're involved in that particular area. You might only work with women, or you might only work with men, or you might only work with same-sex couples, or I don't know, like people that have been traumatized in the past and have issues in that area of their life, right? You could be, let me think of another one. You could be a hairdresser. Yeah. So typically you have to kind of be in the flesh to cut people's hair, of course. But at the same time, you can be doing a lot of different things in your podcast. You could be talking about what it was like to create your own hair salon, what it was like to run a business as a business owner owning a hair salon. It could be, what did you do to become a hairdresser? It could be the different styles through the different generations, how to look after your hair, what kind of hair care would you recommend for what kind of hair? You could niche down and work specifically with, I've watched Queer Eye on TV, and I love that episode where Jonathan, he's the gay hairdresser, and he works with dark women's hair, like how to manage that type of texture of hair, what products work for that. Like, it's endless, right? It's completely endless. You could talk about what your experience is as a hairdresser and what kind of things people tell you when they're sitting in that chair getting their hair cut. I imagine you would be a wealth of stories. It would be mind-blowing, I'm sure. The other thing too is you could be an actress. I've had actresses friend me on Facebook, and you could talk about what it takes to make it in the acting world, like in Hollywood, for example, or the mindset and the relentlessness it takes, and, dealing with rejection and what it was like when you got your first TV part or your movie part, all that sort of stuff. There's so many things beneath the surface that you can get really creative with, and even promote yourself as a personal brand, as an actress. You could be a voiceover for a cartoon movie. Like, honestly, the options are endless. I've seen some tarot card and spiritual people add me on Facebook. So if you were to start a podcast around this type of topic, you could talk about what exactly is tarot cards, because there's still a lot of people in this world that aren't spiritually based or aren't spiritually enlightened or involved. And you know what? There's heaps of people that haven't even had a tarot card reading. So they might be like, what's the difference between being a tarot card reader and a medium or a psychic or something else, like a spiritual guide? You could talk about how tarot card reading works. My dad was in hospital a few years ago, and it was all very sudden, and I had to travel to Sydney, and it was the Easter long weekend. And I went to the Easter show for the very first time in my life, and there was this tarot card reading van thing there, and I was like, ooh, I wouldn't mind chucking a few dollars into that and, getting a reading done, think it'd be really cool. And basically they took my money and they gave me a printout. They gave me a printout on a piece of paper, and it was like that receipt paper, so the writing would fade eventually. I felt so cheated because I was like, this is not what I was expecting. I thought I'd be coming into this, candlelit dark sort of room and, I don't know, just actually have card that I can pull or they pull for me, and it's personalized, not just some sort of printout that they give, willy-nilly. So anyway, this is besides the point. You can talk about what kind of card deck you use and why you use that one and why and how much it was and where you get it from. You can talk about who comes to you for readings. Why do they come to you for readings? Do they come back for readings? How does that all work? I know 2 people that I watch on Instagram that I know personally as well, by the way. They both identify as being, witchy woo or psychics. And one of them does Instagram lives and she pulls tarot cards then and there. So it's very personalized. It's very in the moment in real life. She'll actually pull cards for the watchers, and as long as they comment and she'll say something like, whoever gives me the first unicorn emoji, I'll pull a card for them and give them a reading on the spot for 5-10 minutes, which is, I think, really cool. And the other one that I used to watch, she used to call herself a witch and I used to work with her as well, and I guess unenlightened people, muggles in the world. It was really fascinating. And what she would do is she'd pull a card on Instagram stories every morning in the car before she'd go into work. And I used to love it because it felt inclusive and it felt like you were connected to the greater whole, and anyway, like I'm getting off topic here, but can you see how you can utilize that stuff and put it into a podcast format? You can actually probably even record someone's reading and with their consent, share that on a podcast episode and just have a fake name or have them as a pseudonym or something like that, right? Like I know with my shamanic astrologist, when I get a reading done every 6 weeks, gosh, that's very frequent, every 6 months or so, I ask her if I can record it. She always says yes. And I posed the question to her pretty recently and I was like, hey, would you be cool if I actually reshared this onto my podcast? I don't know if it's going to fit into this podcast or whatnot. And if you guys are interested, I'm more than happy to share that because you can see my journey over the last, 3 years and how I got to this point. And a lot of personal stuff comes up in that. It's really interesting. You can hear how different I sounded back then as well. It's fascinating, actually. So, there's so many different options. There's so many different ways that you can actually, run your podcast and have it fit into your business and your life and your lifestyle. Like at the end of the day, the options are really endless. And if you get stuck, something I like to talk about is you don't have to explain how something works on your podcast. You can just talk about the what and the why frame. So for example, what something is, like what is a book? What is self-publishing? What is different types of sex? What is that type of tarot card, deck? That's the what. You can talk about why it's important. Why should you start a book? Why should you see a sex therapist? Why should your partner be willing to do that for you or something like that? Why get a reading done? So the what and the why frames are super duper important. And if you're worried about giving too much away for free, I'm going to address this in a different episode down the track, but the whole how to do something, like how to start your own book or, how to submit your proposal to an editing facility, how to, I don't know, I was going to say something naughty then about the sex therapy stuff, but I won't, how to do something between the sheets, how to become your own tarot card reader. That's all stuff that you can teach privately through your business. You can teach that through your workshops. You can teach that through your one-to-one coaching. At the end of the day, the more value that you give, the better, for sure. But also the more value that you give in your business, you can charge more for as well, right? So think of your podcast as a marketing tool or as a means of self-expression. And if you get stuck on what to share, think about what I've just told you in terms of the what and the why frames. And then the how-tos you can do privately with your one-to-one coaching or your group members or program members or whatever the case may be. Also, I just want to preface this by saying that if you have a business, you already have listeners, girlfriend. I've got a friend of mine, she's a mum boss, and people are asking her when she's going to start her podcast. And I was like, if people are already asking you for episodes, you need to give your people what they want, girlfriend. You need to pop that crown on, plug that microphone in already and get going because people are waiting for it. They want it from you. So my takeaways for this episode is firstly, if you send me a friend request, please send me a message so I know who you are and I know to actually accept it. 2, be clear in your bios. That's just for me, by the way, not for anyone else. And other than that, your podcast is an extension of who you are, and what you're interested in or what your business is all about. And if you have a business, you already have followers, you already have customers or clients, you already know how to monetize, you already have interested individuals if they're following you on social media, which is great because it means you can get more personalized with these people, you can give them more of yourself. You can also build your download rate quicker. There's nothing more scary than starting a podcast and thinking, oh my gosh, there's no one that's going to listen to this. But if you already have people in your realm and in your reality and in your business, you've got an audience right there, my friend. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? Also, the last thing is it's easy to transfer your content into an audio platform or into a podcast episode or into a discussion or a conversation. It is so much easier than what you think. You've just got to get a little bit creative, and I hope I've given you enough ideas on how to do that today. All right, lovelies, I will talk to you in the next episode. Much love, Olivia. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and listening in. I truly, truly appreciate you and your listenership. I really do. And if you happen to love this episode, feel free to share it with someone to join my podcast quest of empowering more and more women to rise up, find and use their own voices to unlock a podcast of full self-expression, creativity, and freedom. I can't wait for you to show up, share your story, and serve others through your own podcast. And if you want help to achieve this and receive more personalized care, then feel free to email me at oliviapowercoaching@gmail.com to book a consult. Or you can join the conversation in my free Facebook group by searching Become a Podcast Queen Community. If you want to hang out on Instagram, search me at Olivia Power Coaching. See you in the next episode, Queens.